Welcome to another class of Hunger Games history. The lesson of today takes place in the 9th annual Hunger Games, a time in which this event was at the risk of being terminated. Ratings continue to decrease, aggravated by the events of last year. Seeing tributes slowly die due to heat stroke was deemed as boring by the citizens watching, especially when the games were dragged for longer than usual. When the event ended, with their victor humiliating the capital, it was thought that the Hunger Games could not get any worse than this. Funding was drastically reduced, and Dr. Gall had to take a lot out of her own pocket to be able to keep things rolling, feeling confident that the tide would turn. However, many capital citizens were seeing her games as a joke, with little to no interest or engagement. In the districts, the situation was even worse, as not only most did not own a television, but the few who did would only watch the games in case someone they knew were involved. At this point in time, there were no repercussions for refusing to watch the games. This year, the weather was pleasant, the tributes reaping and transportation to the capital went smoothly, and some promising tributes had been selected. Everything was shaping up to go perfectly, yet barely anyone was watching. Onyx, the boy from District 1, stood out from the crowd being exceptionally well-mannered and well-groomed, something the game makers found unusual, coming from district citizens. Besides his appearance, Onyx also seemed to know how to play their game, likely being one of the very few who had the opportunity to watch the game's transmission from the districts. He knew to expect the District 2 tributes to be the strongest. He had seen the damage that a tribute with their aim focused on winning could do. For this year, District 2 consisted of Gwyneth, an 18-year-old girl who was tall and decently strong-looking, and Noah, a 15-year-old boy who, despite not looking strong at all, had a much healthier appearance than any other tribute in the bunch. Onyx's district partner was called Bree, a younger girl who seemed too terrified to move away from the corner of the wagon. Onyx hypothesized that to have a shot in the games, he would have to do something a little more unconventional, at least at that time. And so, during the time they spent inside the animal pen, Onyx used his charm to gradually approach Gwyneth. Despite the situation they were placed in, the boy was great at putting people at ease, giving Gwyneth an unusual sense of comfort that she clinged onto. By the middle of the day, Onyx had managed to get her to accept a truce inside the arena. This offer also extended to Noah, her district partner. Onyx did not stop there. By the end of the day, he used the same technique to lure in two other potential backers: Roz, the male tribute from District 9, and Pierce from District 7. Both were among the oldest and strongest looking tributes, with whom Onyx knew to fall in their good graces and avoid being targeted early. When the signal was given for the games to start, chaos was immediately instilled as the tributes attempted to grab a weapon. The tension that Onyx had brought with his doings in the animal pen caused many tributes to worry whether a great plan has been in the works, or if a big group was about to join forces together against them. Their worries became worse when the truce between the 5 tributes allowed for them all to grab a weapon without being harmed in the process. The tributes that followed had less luck, however. While both boys from District 6 and 10 were also able to pick up a blade, the hesitation of the tribute from 6 in harming another human being allowed the tribute from 10 to act first, who sliced his belly open with a machete. The girl from District 3 and the boy from District 5 also attempted their luck at the pile, but were eliminated by the District 2 pair. Phinia, from District 4, was able to sneak in and grab a trident, which he used to impale the boy from District 8. Carl, from 12, who had also been able to grab a knife, ran away from the weapon pile just to be tripped by Dijon, from 11, who was then able to grab the blade off his hands and eliminate Carl with his own weapon. The District 9 girl had been looking for Roz, her district partner, who was by the weapon pile with a pitchfork in hand. Seeing no apparent danger nearby, the girl pulled Roz aside to beg him to be let into the truce, so she could have a way to defend herself too. But all of a sudden, Gwyneth, from District 2, jumped on the girl and killed her with a single blow, wrongly assuming that she was putting Roz in danger. The District 9 male looked at Gwyneth, petrified, taking his time to process what had just happened. In the meanwhile, Onyx was distracted with Sunshine, the girl from District 11, who was attempting to find a window to grab a sight, standing in the pile just behind the boy. The girl was having trouble closing the distance that Onyx's sword was forcing between them, dancing around it in an attempt after attempt. Not finding it worth the risk, Sunshine was ready to give up and turn around, when Onyx struck her right in the neck. The girl from District 12 soon followed a similar fate, having twisted her ankle running away from all the fighting, which allowed the District 4 couple to eliminate her easily. All this action in the beginning led to 8 tributes falling in the first few minutes. When everything calmed down, most tributes had scampered around the arena, few others climbed up the stands, and the 5 tributes in the truce stayed by the weapon pile. The group looked at each other, wondering what to do next. The tension in their eyes was visible, as they worried about who would break the truce first. Noticing the uncomfortable environment, Onyx stood up, suggesting to the rest that they should go first after the few that had managed to arm themselves. Agreeing with the idea, they separated into 2 groups. Onyx from District 1, Gwyneth from District 2, and Pierce from District 7 headed towards the stands, while Noah from 2 and Roz from District 9 kept the weapon pile guarded in case anyone would attempt their luck. Their main target was who they considered their strongest opponent, Dijon from District 11. The boy was a skilled climber, having quickly gotten to the highest point of the arena, from where he could see everything. The 3 tributes attempted to follow, with Onyx and Gwyneth struggling to climb up, which made Dijon chuckle. His smile faded when Pierce, from 7, took the lead and climbed up just as fast, following by helping the other 2 up. Dijon attempted to run away, but he was quickly surrounded by the trio. With Pierce being closer, Onyx and Gwyneth expected him to do the honors, but the boy was hesitant to use his weapon. This gave Dijon enough of a window to strike against Gwyneth, who luckily had the attack blocked by Onyx. Retaliating, she was then the one to bring Dijon down. A shriek coming from the center of the arena brought all of their attention back to the weapon pile, where they found Noah, from District 2, fallen on the floor and bleeding out. The District 4 pair had come back to grab a weapon for Sandy, the girl, as only Phinia had managed to get one in the first fight. He used that same trident to attack small Noah, while Roz, who was guarding the weapons with him, did nothing. The 3 ran back to the weapon pile, as Gwyneth shouted to Roz about him being incompetent, furious to see her district partner hurt. Roz defended himself, also raising his voice, saying they were merely a truce, which means to not attack each other. He did not say anything about protecting each other. The 2 continued shouting back and forth, until Roz had enough and raised his weapon. Worried about the integrity of the truce he had put together, Onyx intervened, managing to disarm Roz and asking him to calm down. Noah, from District 2, ended up succumbing to his injury not much later. Now weaponless, Roz was afraid of what could be done to him, prompting the boy to run away. With all trust now gone, Gwyneth ran after him, not resting until she managed to end Roz's life. Gwyneth killing Roz raised the tension in the group even further, having only 3 members left. While Gwyneth and Onyx seemed to get along well, Pierce, from 7, started worrying about them eventually turning on him. The trio had set up camp by the weapons, preventing any other tribute to get something to defend themselves with. In the meanwhile, the District 4 couple, being 2 of the few remaining armed tributes, went after each defenseless tribute who hopelessly attempted to not grab attention towards them, in an arena where there was no place to hide. Sandy, the girl, was a skilled and fast climber, having worked in ships. She flushed the tributes out of the stands, while Phinia would eliminate them. Some of the tributes tripped or fell off the stands, as they attempted to run away from Sandy. The hunt resulted in 5 tributes dead, with Bree, Onyx's district partner, being among them. Seeing the numbers go down quickly, Onyx, Gwyneth and Pierce got up again to assess who was still alive. They spotted a couple from District 10 not too far away and started running towards their direction. Noticing the trio, the tributes started moving fast, in an attempt to tire and avoid them. What they did not notice, however, was how they had now gotten the attention of the District 4 pair as well, who climbed down the stands to meet the final few still standing in the center of the arena. Seeing Sandy and Phinia getting closer, Onyx and Gwyneth quickly charged against the District 10 tributes, knowing that they could not afford any distractions between them and District 4. Despite the boy holding a machete, he was easily disarmed and killed before he could inflict a single scratch on either tribute. The girl attempted to get away, but she too met the same fate. However, there was something else that both Onyx and Gwyneth had to worry about. Conscious of this moment having to come sooner or later, Pierce, from 7, raised his axe and attempted to hit Gwyneth when she had her attention focused on the District 10 girl. Onyx, catching a glimpse of the boy through the corner of his eye, pushed him away at the last second, knowing that without Gwyneth, he would not be able to face the District 4 duo alone. Onyx followed by forcing Pierce to fall to the ground, then finished the job by plunging his sword into the traitor's back. Getting away with just a small wound, Gwyneth thanked Onyx, confused but grateful that he was willing to save her life in a place like the arena. However, Pierce's distraction had bought District 4 the opportunity to attack first, with Phinia not hesitating to throw his trident towards Gwyneth, who was closer to him. The girl tried to dodge, but ended up being hit in the right leg, limiting her movement. Onyx attempted to charge against him before he could retrieve his weapon, but Phinia was very skilled. He managed to pull his trident back from the ground using his foot, then using it to shield himself against a sudden attack. Seeing Phinia busy with Onyx, Sandy was now determined to finish off Gwyneth, thinking that she would be at an advantage against a wounded girl. However, Sandy was not experienced with spear throwing, feeling forced to come closer and make sure she could hit her attacks. But as she closed the distance with Gwyneth, the District 2 tribute surprised Sandy with a strong strike of her sword against the spear, enough to make Sandy drop the weapon. Despite her injuries, Gwyneth swallowed her fear of dying and showed herself unwilling to give up. She followed with another strike, this time aiming for Sandy, managing to eliminate the girl. Seeing his district partner fall, Phinia ran towards the two girls and stabbed his trident into Gwyneth's abdomen. She howled in pain, but determined to make Phinia's job more difficult, the girl grabbed the handle of the trident stuck in her and held on, not allowing him to retrieve the weapon. Seeing the opening, Onyx sliced Phinia with his sword, ending his life. Gwyneth fell backwards, a dim light still in her eyes. Onyx found it surprising how she was still alive, being now the only tribute between him and his victory. But instead of attacking her, the boy stood by her side and apologized for how the fight went. He patiently waited for Gwyneth to pass from her injuries, until Onyx, from District 1, was finally announced victor of the 9th annual Hunger Games. The game makers had hoped that this year's roster of skilled fighters brought the number of viewers up, giving them the action they craved. However, citizens had lost interest by then, and very few had tuned in this year. Even between those who did watch, the finale brought some controversy, with the tribute showing compassion over one of a different district. Due to these factors, a lot of convincing and pulling strings were required in order for another year of the games to be approved, under the promise that improvements would be made to the format in time for the next year. Academy students, we know that in future years, these types of truces will eventually evolve into fully fledged alliances. In your opinion, what are the possible benefits and consequences of this practice? Let us know your thoughts.